no more load shedding by the end of the year. That's the goal that was expressed by the ANC following its recent NEC Lekgotla, right? As the governing party, no doubt, scrambles to find a plan to end the blackouts that will likely threaten its majority next year's elections. One proposed solution is reviving the Karpowership deal. This was government's preferred supplier of emergency power, and the idea was to add 1,200 megawatts to the grid using ships off our coastline. And just to remind you, Karpowership SA is a subsidiary of the Turkish Karadeniz Power Ships Energy Consortium, which was selected to do this for 20 whole years. Now, with this week's announcement that the governing party wants a state of disaster around the blackout, speculation is rife that that deal may not be dead in the water. No way, Jose, says the organization Undoing Tax Abuse. We're joined now by the Executive Director, Advocate Stephanie Fick. A very good morning to you, and thank you for your time today. So the last time this deal was scuppered was because of mostly environmental concerns. What worries you now?
Good morning, Bongani. I think the whole deal worries us. So we know about the whole debacle around the environmental authorizations, but then I don't know if you can remember, but Nersa already gave them a distribution license. So it is that whole decision that Nersa took that we are taking on review. And while reviewing all of this, you realize that, firstly, this is a 20-year deal. Is government telling us that we're going to have a problem for 20 years? These are the type of solutions that are really supposed to be an emergency solution. And, 20 years is not an emergency solution. It's literally like, and I'm going to quote Wayne on this, this is like shooting an ant with a shotgun. So that's the first problem. Then secondly, the pricing of the gas and the electricity at the end, who's going to come down on us as, the user. They're talking about R2. We calculated it might cost us around R5, which is really, really, really ridiculous. And if you're going to shorten the time or the contract, that's going to be even worse. And then thirdly, you're talking about 1,200 megawatts. That will maybe change a stage of load shedding. Karpowership is not the solution to the big energy crisis we have in South Africa, and that is our problem, and why we are scared that if there's a disaster, our country is a bit of a disaster at the moment, that they're going to try and push this through a deal that is not suitable for South Africa.
Is there a way to do that via the state of disaster? In other words, people could contest this deal under normal circumstances, but because one would imagine some of the normal procurement procedures may be suspended during a state of disaster, is this a way to push this through the back door, and can it be stopped?
Unfortunately, I think if we look at history, I think the trust deficit that we experience after load shedding, after state capture, and then the PPE corruption during, the whole COVID pandemic, I think I do not blame anybody, and I do not blame ourselves for thinking that if we have another state of disaster, that they will find a way of pushing through this deal. And if you're asking me whether they will be successful, I think I speak on behalf of civil society to say, no, they will not do that. We will keep a hawk eye on this whole process, because the deal at the end of the day is not in the best interest of South Africa. It doesn't matter what you try and use to push it through.
Here we go, though. Given the impact of load shedding on every sector you can think of, from agriculture to manufacturing, small businesses, do we not try anything and everything we can to end these blackouts and end them now?
Bongani, I think people are just desperate. If you're sitting in the dark, you have children, you don't have water, because that is also a problem. I really think people are desperate, and they have a right to complain. The problem is you need to solve the problem in the best way. So to link South Africa to a 10-year or 20-year deal with Karpowership is, in the long run, definitely not the best solution.
Do you think?
Plus, Karpowership is not a plug-and-play solution.
Do you think this is a band-aid, perhaps to try and stave off defeat for the ANC in next year's elections?
One wonders. I think sometimes one can probably think what you want and not always say what you want. But yes, I think even the political parties, and I'm including all political parties here, is desperate for votes in 2024. And who's gonna suffer? Who is this going to be to the detriment of? And that is normal South Africans. So yes, people are desperate, but I think that there's other ways that the government, Eskom, can make sure that, for example, the grid is opened a bit so that people with solar PV and so on can add to the grid, that we can sort of give Eskom the opportunity to make other bring other solutions to the table in order to, increase the baseload.
Advocate Stephanie Fig, appreciate your time. Executive Director at Outa, the organization Undoing Tax Abuse. Some of those, of course, might take time, and the clock is ticking, is it not?
Current events, developing stories,
tough questions.
Your voice making a difference.
This is Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.